a miracle, doc, they counted me out. Moment of truth, counting it down. Underdog story was down for the count. Back on my feet, back with a mic, back on the beat, back with a family that bang in the streets. The game on lock, I stand with a key. Standing my ground, I am planning to flee. Standing my ground, I am planting my feet. Taking a stand, embracing my destiny, shaking his hand, flipping the script.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Sunday night CrossFit Talk. Back at our regularly scheduled time for the foreseeable future. Happy to be with you guys tonight. If you could, please hit that subscribe button or that like button. It really helps out with the algorithm, and we would appreciate that so much. Good to see Craig and Kenneth and Chris already here. Clooney's, all those people. So we're going to catch up a little bit, and then we're going to dive into the CrossFit news. I always like to see this. Kenneth DeLapp with the original Sunday Night CrossFit Talk.
That's us.
We got Jody, we got Andrew, we got Julian, and people are coming in fast and furious. Awesome. Good to see you guys tonight. So I'm going to start off with tonight is the 50th anniversary show of Saturday Night Live. And I am much older than the two of you, and I was 5 years old when Saturday Night Live hit the air.
Wow.
So yeah, I am much older than you guys, but it has been a fabric of my life, like my whole entire life.
Okay.
And it peaked when I was a bouncer at a bar. We used to videotape on VHS Saturday Night Live while we were on our shift. And when we were done with our shift, everybody would come back to my apartment and we would watch Saturday Night Live together and like have a couple of beers to unwind so we could sleep. And it just became a thing that we did every week. And I've always been a fan, always watched it. And I was watching the red carpet before I came down to do this. And I just was smiling ear to ear, giddy with all the memories of Saturday Night Live. So
it was yesterday, wasn't it? Because I saw a bunch of highlight videos of it.
So they had a concert.
Okay, that's what I saw. I saw the performances of the concert.
Right.
Like highlights of it.
Tonight is the actual show.
Okay.
So they do Saturday Night Live on Sunday night?
Well, it's only this week.
Okay.
To commemorate it. And it's a big special on NBC. And it's a 3-hour show instead of an hour and a half. But everybody has come back. Like Eddie Murphy, Billy Crystal, Martin Short, Will Ferrell. Last night, they actually ran the first ever show from 1975.
It's the first, it's also the NBA All-Star game today, too, right now. So interesting that they would put it on the same as the All-Star games are not what they used to be, except if you are into the hockey world. That was amazing. The Four Nations competition tournament is amazing, but yeah, the All-Star basketball stuff is tonight.
Well, I'm not a huge basketball fan, so you lose me there. And I used to be a big dunk contest fan. But again, I'm older than you guys. I grew up in the Jordan, Dominique, Spud Webb era, and it really fell off for a long time from that, and so they lost me for that.
The one guy is impressive though.
Miss Canada.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
The Four Nations hockey event last night. I did watch that Miss Canada.
Yeah, that was the start of it was crazy.
It was 3 fights in 9 seconds.
Yeah, it was just setting the tone. I mean, we haven't had best on best for like the men's hockey in almost like 10 years, just because of what the NHL will allow players to participate and stuff like that. And then even at the Olympics, you don't even always get your top people that will want to compete, because a lot of them like that, like male athletes, like the Olympics, if they're playing professional sports, just isn't as meaningful like as like the female athletes, where like that is their top moment in their sport.
Yeah.
And yeah, to see the best on best action is like so brilliant, like so much better than the All-Star games that they had prior, where like you just don't try as much. Like there were some big hits and clearly some hatred and some fighting going on. And yeah, I think it's been a great move to do this.
Ken Walter said, my son's old college line mate is on USA, Jake Getzel, who actually was drafted by the Pittsburgh Penguins and on one of their cup teams, Stanley Cup winning teams. He's awesome.
That's
But
neat.
I will tell you, it was some of the most entertaining hockey I've seen in a long time.
We'll get our revenge.
And USA, just so if people are not watching, USA punched their ticket to the championship game. Canada can make it back to that, but USA beat Canada last night, leading up into, and that got USA the bid to the championship game. Now Canada can still get there, which I hope they do, because it's going to be the best game.
Yeah, they have to beat Finland next, and then they'll be in the finals if they can beat Finland. Yeah, our top defense is out. Our team played okay. Thought they were a little flat, but the hockey is just fast though. Like it's like they're finishing their checks. It's physical, and like they're trying to win. Like it's not just a fun game. Like it's meaningful to all the teams. It's cool to watch.
Yeah, it was.
I wish the basketball did the same thing. Like I wish that like all of these games tonight, and you have like the OGs versus like the rising stars and the Team World and stuff like that. Like I wish that they would take it seriously and throw down. Like they play harder in their summer league like pickup games than they do at this all-star game. It's so annoying because like fans, they want to see the best on best and like just go. Like
team versus USA versus the world would be an awesome NBA match.
Like it's just the worst seeing professional athletes like not even try. Like it's like to me it's just like a lack of respect for the game. Like and for the people that are paying to watch. Like it's just like just do your best. Like who cares if you lose? Yeah, at least you tried.
Well, back to SNL. And any favorite characters? Any favorite cast members? Any favorite sketches?
I didn't watch a whole lot of SNL. I'd probably say like Chris Farley, maybe Will Ferrell. I mean, I've always been a Will Ferrell fan.
That shows our age difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I just always watch like the highlights of the like certain skits that might go on to Instagram or something, but I can't say that I like actually sit down and watch Saturday Night Live at any point really, like as a show. Just highlights of stuff, and it's always comical. Like it's the monologues, all that stuff, and what they do and things they make fun of. It's great.
So my favorite cast member ever is Eddie Murphy. Okay. And that's old school. That's before you guys were probably even born. When he was coming up, he hit 90% of the time. He was like a baseball player hitting 900. Every time he was on screen, it was hilarious. With Gumby, Buckwheat, James Brown, Celebrity Hot Tub, all those things. He just was always on fire. And then my wife and I, or just me, 3 times for Halloween were SNL characters.
That's funny.
So I went as Matt Foley, the motivational speaker, Chris Farley's character, 1 year for Halloween. Her and I went as Hans and Franz, the bodybuilders that idolized Arnold Schwarzenegger. And one year we went as the duo that sang Blank in a Box. The Justin Timberlake, Andy Samberg, 90s. And my wife actually put a beard on and did the whole bit with the suit. And she had in a box. And we actually had them, if you open the box, you saw a piece of like pantyhose stuffed in there. But that was, so yeah, it's been a bit, and to me, like anytime Justin Timberlake hosts, I watch because he's so good on there.
Yeah, he does a good job.
And then one of the amazing facts that I learned is Alec Baldwin has hosted the show 17 times.
Wow.
Which is amazing. But so many of our like pop culture icons have come from Saturday Night Live, like Adam Sandler and Chris Farley and Billy Crystal and Chevy Chase and Bill Murray. And I mean, they just go on and on and on. Crazy. Yeah, it was all pre Beverly Hills Cop. I think it was during the filming of the first 48 hours is when he was on SNL. Phil Hartman was amazing. Regrettably, he's no longer with us. But he was like one of those glue characters who could play any man and do everything. Like him and Daryl Hammond. Kristen Wiig is great at that. Cecily Tyson. What else do we got here? Beastie Boys had a great performance. Dana Carvey, gosh, he's another one. Church Lady, Hans and Franz. So yeah, Buckwheat was fire. So much fun. But that will be my day tomorrow. I will watch the rebroadcast on Peacock tomorrow and catch up on everything and probably talk about it on one of the lunch shows this week. But I just wanted to bring it up because we don't have a ton of CrossFit news this week, and we had a little bit of time. I should have put in the Four Nations tournament because I knew that would be good conversation with Carolyne.
It'll be better conversation next week if we win.
So it'll get brought up either way. If we win, I'll bring it up. If you win, you'll bring it up.
Yep.
Do you guys have any fun Valentine's plans?
We didn't do anything. Did you?
We went to a local restaurant with friends for half-price appetizers.
Ooh.
But we only had like 45 minutes because they had 85 reservations. So the only way they would allow us to sit is if we promised we would leave in 45 minutes.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I worked out, and then Lex ordered me some local burrito place for me to pick up on the way home because she's in California. So that's a weight of my heart right there. You know, some good food after workout. That's all I needed.
Yeah, we just got pizza. We didn't want to deal with trying to go to a restaurant, do anything. So basic.
Did I take you to Rusty Bucket?
Yes.
So that's
where we went.
Yeah.
Yeah, the place is good.
Yeah, they from 4 to 6 now every weekday. All their appetizers are half price.
That's awesome.
And they have chicken wings and they have salads. And so like you can get chicken wings and a salad for half price. It's a pretty good deal.
Heck yeah. I'd be in heaven.
And then I got Julie an order from chocolates.com.
How's she doing?
She's doing great. She's actually not using the cane at times now.
Okay.
For short little jaunts across the house. But she still feels unstable long periods on it. But she's itching to get back to work. She's hoping to be cleared soon. Like her and I being together 24/7. We both are ready for a little alone time.
Are you able to get in go to the gym or do a workout?
Yeah, so I actually paused my membership at Polaris until I got over the AFib and got her through everything she needs to get through. But when I pause, I still have access to all of their programming. So I'm pretty much just doing body weight stuff in my basement.
Okay. They have like a body weight track that you can follow.
Yeah, and if not, I just convert it to something that I can do.
Yeah.
And then as it warms up, I'll go back out to the garage, and then it opens back up April 1st to full membership again.
Cool.
But that'll give me enough time to be on this new medicine and my heart rate for 3 months, and then I can regulate it better doing body weight stuff too. So, yeah, Ken, I know that it's meat and veggies and some fruit, seeds, nuts, no sugar, but it's Valentine's Day and my wife's been through the rehab and she's been killing the rehab. She's been losing weight through the rehab, which has been awesome. And if she wants a couple chocolate covered pretzels, which is what I got her, she's okay.
Yeah. Aaron got me crumble cookies. I was like, you're just trying to sabotage me.
Yeah.
Can you eat a whole crumble cookie?
Oh no, I eat like an eighth of it. They last me a week.
Like they're so rich and so big.
They are.
Jody Lynn says imams are the way. Yeah,
I love
mean, Polaris, most of their stuff is interval work. So it allows me to like do short sets, check my heart rate, short set, check my heart rate. And they're usually like 4 minutes on, 3 minutes, or 4 minutes on, 2 minutes off, stuff like that. So yeah.
We do a lot of those too.
So we'll get into some CrossFit stuff. Last week we talked about the new CrossFit podcast that launched last week, and the first episode dropped, I believe, on Tuesday morning. And I watched it. It was Nicole Carroll, and it was really, really good. But it is a clear departure from the sport and more about the methodology. At this point, anyway, there's only one episode, but we looked at the trailer. The trailer seems much more in the affiliates, not so much the sport. But in it, Nicole Carroll talks about that CrossFit has lost their way, and that they need to work to get back to what's most important. And through that, she no longer is the head of the education department. She is now the head of the brand.
Well, what's most important? Does she say that?
So so all of this media that has been coming out are things that she has developed to promote the brand.
Okay.
And then when Jenna came on as the new media lead or chief marketing officer,
Yeah.
then she's been helping her push it all out.
Okay.
So the reason you've seen all the change on the YouTube channel and like the trainer's YouTube channel and this new podcast and the different advertisements for the Open, different advertisements for L1, that's all the stuff that she's been working on, and now Jenna is helping her get it all out. Which I found fascinating, because she was the head of education for the entirety of CrossFit almost.
I guess I'd just be curious what Nicole's, I haven't watched it, obviously, what she feels is the way and what we're missing. Like, is it media? Is it just the methodology in general? I mean, longevity, and like, I understand they're probably pushing away from the sport side, but in some aspects, a lot of people say the sport side is what grew CrossFit. So I don't know, like, if you really want to separate that.
I don't think it's she's not picking a side between sport and methodology. I think what she's talking about is their message got lost. And it's okay to say they're the best option available, and to tout that they are the best option available. And not be afraid to talk about it a lot, get the message out there a lot. It's not about picking between sport and methodology. It's about the messaging coming out from them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean,
Does brand mean like the image of CrossFit? Is that what that means, basically? Like working on changing the image of what it's like, the what people see of CrossFit?
I don't even think she can define what brand means. And she kind of talks about that at the beginning of the podcast. I think it's more about, she feels like the name of CrossFit has been battered and bruised over the last 5 years. And we need to be more proactive to show the world that this stuff really does work.
I agree. I mean,
We and they.
Yes. When I say we, I'm talking like it came from her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I applaud is she's not only saying it, there are actions that you can see that she has done where it's not just her talking about it, but she's actually taking some kind of action.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell that there's been more thoughtful, they have been putting work into that trainer channel. It's definitely media is coming out.
Back to the documentary, the little mini documentaries.
Yeah. I think those are the things, though, like the killing the fat man, those type of things showing. I mean, you need to push we have the cure for the world's most vexing problem, and you need to push that. It doesn't need to be sport so much, but media does need to surround that to show the potential. But we do need to just go back to health side, and this is the best thing you can do for your life.
If you haven't seen the documentary they put out about the judge that worked the Masters CrossFit Games, and that they talk about that he was a member of a gym and they all wanted to volunteer, and they're at a dinner and they go around the table and none of them lost less than like 50 pounds. Like that says it all. And those are the things they weren't putting out anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Larry Young says this, love Nicole, but I think some young people might resonate with newer people, where Nicole resonates with the OG CrossFitters. They are eventually going to age out. Just food for thought. I agree with your sentiment, Larry, but Nicole is not a forward-facing person. Very rarely does she do podcasts or things. She is showing this through other media. Yeah. She's working behind the scenes to push this stuff out.
I love Nicole. I really enjoyed when she was more forward facing, when she used to do the open workouts and give her opinion on how it went, and like strategy. I ate those up. Like,
I missed the update shows and stuff like that there used to be also in the open, and they'd do like the recaps of the weeks and who's leading, and go into the communities and talk about what affiliates, how it was for them. I think bringing back something like that would be important too. Not just like talk about like the top people in the sport, but just showcasing how different affiliates are taking on the workouts and stuff like that. But yeah, she always gave like good feedback after the workout, like for elite athletes, and then more general pop.
Yeah. One of the highlights of my life is at the 2022 CrossFit Games. On the final day, I was in the media pit, and Nicole was on one side of me, and Chris, endurance guy, Chris, and hearing the two of them talk to each other was just fascinating. And I was in between the two of them, and it was awesome. And I know Hinshaw's taken some blows this year, but like the guy's still pretty smart. And and Nicole is way smart. So
she's one of my favorite, like, an athlete personalities just in general of CrossFit.
The only thing she ever asked me was, how do you pronounce Fuselier?
Yeah.
And you knew.
But I think during the open, you got to focus on the community. Like that's what it's about. It's the community event. It's like at my gym, like we're doing like 3 teams they all have their t-shirts, and you get points if you judge someone. So now all of a sudden you don't have people running around for judges, because everyone wants to judge because it gets points for their team. And we got this big trophy, and it's just like a fun community thing that you do yearly. And like, I think The competitive part, and like it goes a little bit with what Clooney says, like the competitive part is hard because I think the sport has developed so much since the years of 2000, where it's like for a regular but back then, like people could see the games athlete, and like a lot of people thought they could get there, a lot more people thought they could get there than now. Now it's become so professionalized where it's basically out of reach for most people that start CrossFit, that a lot of people are like, what's the point and all that of the sport? Because it's so far out of reach, so professionalized. It's, well, not professionalized, but in terms of the level you need to get there. So it's just like, let's make the Open about the community and the affiliates and just having a good time, signing up and doing the workouts together. You don't have to sign up, I guess, but it's like, to me, signing up makes it that your intensity just goes up. Like it just naturally does. But just like doing it with people, doing it like for people, celebrating, 3 hard weeks together, I think is some of the more memorable stuff from any CrossFit affiliates. Like it's the Open, like it's your celebration every year. It's your reset. Like you do your workouts and then you talk about it, you celebrate different achievements, people's first whatever. For a lot of times, it's the first time you see people from different classes working out at the same time, because like everyone's doing the Friday night lights, or we do Saturday mornings at my gym. But I get to see people that I don't normally see during the day, and I get to see their first of whatever and them achieving something that they didn't think was possible. Like I think those moments are so cool, and like they don't happen without the Open. It's just it's tough. Like it's but it's. Yeah, I think it's got to come back to the community. It's got to be showcasing all those little stories of different affiliates and what they're doing and how they're taking on the Open, and how they're, just different ideas that people have that can share with other gyms too.
It's funny because this is our first year without Christy and Patrick owning our gym, and they have completely changed the Open. They are going, and to be honest, love Christy and Patrick to death, but the Open was a serious matter for them, right? We had games athletes, we had semifinal athletes, we had masters athletes, and they wanted to make sure that they had like the optimal place to be able to do their workouts. And now this year they are doing an intramural team competition. It's more community based. They are doing a Friday night lights, which we didn't have before, and they're doing a Saturday morning. So it's really cool seeing how they are changing the way they're doing the Open now that the big time games athlete is no longer the owner. Truly love Christy and Patrick as owners and as coaches, and some of the best coaching I've ever had in my life. But that one thing, that community aspect of the Open got lost a little bit there.
That surprises me a little bit. I would think that you would want to still, like, it's almost more important to do the Friday night lights and like highlight that.
I think both can happen. I think it just depends on the affiliate. I think both can happen. Like I said, at my gym, we have people of all levels that are taking part in it, and that's the beauty part of it. And like I said, it's an intramural basically competition at our gym, right? It's you get points for participation, you get points for judging, you get points for if you're wearing your outfit that weekend. Like it's just fun. Like, and then like there's prizes and get-togethers. Like it's.
And I think part of it was COVID, because we sectioned our gym off into where everybody had their own individual lane, and you came in, you put your stuff in your lane, you had a bike, you had a rower, you had a pull-up bar, and everything's there. You don't have to like run around the gym to pick it up. And it actually took away from the community aspect a little bit. The new owners have gotten rid of the lanes. And so now it's more open. But here's some of our listeners. One, Larry Young agrees with Carolyne. The athletes evolve faster than the rest.
It's just not attainable anymore for a lot of people. Like it really isn't. Like to make it to the CrossFit Games. I mean, there's very few that can do it with full-time jobs. You still see it, of course. But it is so hard to do.
I just think
it was
also think it's a function of getting rid of the regionals, because that was a goal for a lot of people, and that was a little bit more attainable.
That was. And
Yeah.
for the teams, it was achievable,
Mhm.
right? Like now with all the super teams, and then you have to qualify for all these different events, like there's a lot less of them. So the caliber is higher, of course, but
Right.
the amount of regional, especially when there was like 16 back then, like you're just traveling a few hours to go to the regional event that's nearby, and it's literally you're like an affiliate team.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that part's what's been difficult, I think, for those intermediate athletes that are like intermediate RX, like have a goal of kind of making it to some sort of next level.
Yeah.
It's
Ken
just
Walter
a little
says,
bit out of reach now.
I think if they did open announcements with box athletes and not games athletes, it would promote it better than for general CrossFitters.
An open announcements where they do it at an affiliate and they have both are my favorite announcements. It's like throwing a regular person in a lane at the games. I think that would be incredible. Like,
Yeah, I think showcasing what a top score is, and then let's take it back to reality with what what the general athletes are going to look like too.
right.
And I think you attract the top athletes will want to watch because they want to see their competitors and kind of, what a good score is. And then the regular population gets another version that they can look at and aspire to be as good as them too.
Mm-hmm.
Judy Reed says, we're having raffles with really cool giveaways, meat boxes, weight belts, supplements, food every week.
Dang.
Ken says, we have shirts each year for participants and then potluck after each Friday Night Lights for all members and their families.
We do a similar thing.
And then I think a ton more people had regionals as goals, and the whole gym was in on it.
Exactly.
I think that's the key.
Exactly.
And it was when you had regionals, they were small and you could drive to any location in your region.
Yep.
Like CrossFit lost a lot of money running all of those, but some sort of regional thing would be a solution, I think.
Agreed. Just how to do it, I don't know, because you have to do it cheaply, but it was the most effective way to get fans. Yep. And like I've heard, and John Woolley said this a long time ago, maybe we need to look at high school football fields and some place that you can get cheaper than like a convention center, and that way you go to a regionals where the cost is less. Everybody can come. You do have the weather aspect, but at least it's a community event. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm excited for the Open. I think this, I've talked about it. We're a level method gym. I feel like this community cup and I know they've done the levels before, but I actually feel like they are putting it in the right direction and have a purpose for it. And I'm excited for it. Like I'm telling everyone at my gym, sign up. Like, you know how you're white or yellow, like you might be one or two, and you actually will like objectively be able to look at that and try to go from a 2 to a 3 next year. And we're going to do the community cup as an in-house comp. So like if you have a level, it'll make sense.
Yeah. I like the idea of the community cup. I hope that it works, because like the idea of it is good. Is like you finish your Open, people are motivated or defeated a little bit by where they are. And then it's like, you got this amount of months to train and, go back to your level of competing against your people and try to improve within those months. And then after that, you set goals for the next year of the Open. Like instead of waiting a full year to work on different things, like let's see short term if you can dial in a few things. I like the idea. Hopefully it's well programmed to the different levels. I really wonder if, like, do you think that the Open would work better if they had an intermediate workout, like RX intermediate scale? Like almost every gym has those 3.
I know.
Like levels. Like sometimes I wonder if they had an intermediate workout, if it would allow more people to.
Well, hopefully that's what
I don't know.
the levels become,
Right.
because the workout is going to be different for every level group at the Community Cup.
Right.
And so maybe that's the start of something in that direction. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but there was something here.
Because then you could have a little bit more RX workouts, and then you have those intermediate workouts, and then scaled and foundation. Like I think it would be more appropriate, especially as people sign up like pretty new, like you have certain skills. I don't know. I think
I get really conflicted there, because when I started, there was only RX.
yep.
And I had
2015 is
to
when it
push and try to be able to do things that I'd never done before, which actually forced me to get things I'd never had before.
I agree with that too.
So like, I'm really conflicted in adding more to that when that was what got me my first pull up. That's what, like, I had to get a 24-inch box jump before it got to the open, because I was going to have to do it. Like, though it actually made me work towards something and achieve it so that I could do it in the open.
But I think you can still try to work towards getting out of intermediate and getting towards RX, while still getting a better workout in like intermediate division. Like I think it's something that I think it's an idea to play around with. Again, I'm not sure whether it would work or not, because the first year they added RX and scaled was 2015, because my first year in the open was 2014. And they didn't have it there. But then in 2015, they introduced handstand push-ups. And I remember I think there was like scale divisions at that point. I think that was the first year.
Nicole says, I feel like I'd fall into intermediate, which is frustrating, but most of the scaled movements would be too easy for me.
Nicole's one of my members. She's a high intermediate. If the problem is she doesn't quite have a bar muscle up yet, but I think
that could be I think that would attract certain athletes though that are very, very fit, but they just lack the high-end strength, technical work for gymnastics, and then like race in that kind of caliber. Yeah. Like the workouts.
Oh, she'd crush.
I think there's a lot of athletes that fall into that division. Like that's most of your members at the gym is intermediate.
Jody Lynn asked this: what is a level method gym?
I've talked about it kind of a lot, Jody. So it's a big map on a wall, and it goes from white to black, essentially like a white belt to a black belt. And you assess over 15 different movements. There's things like deadlift, front squat, things like upper body pull, upper body push. And so you get a wide range of cardio stuff. There's things like API, which is basically fight gone bad. And you get a color for those movements. And then you see like say for instance, like we have a guy who can deadlift 500-600 pounds, but can't really do a pull-up. So he's like black in his deadlift, his objective strength. Like he can move a lot of weight, can't move his own body weight very well. So you want to like bring those together and fall somewhere in like an orange or a blue, more in the middle of the map. And usually it's a body composition thing. Could be a cardio thing, it just makes you a very well-rounded athlete. That
would be an interesting thing for CrossFit to do.
Like
for different movements or different benchmark workouts. Especially because the workouts change all the time in the open. It would be super interesting to be like, this is, I mean, Beyond the Whiteboard does it basic in levels.
Yeah. Yes.
Like you're in the 99th percentile, 90th percentile, but just kind of releasing, these are the benchmark. I mean, we have so many benchmark workouts, right? But like picking maybe a few cardio, a few gymnastics, a few weightlifting, and then a few mixed modal, like just kind of general tests.
Yep.
I think that would be interesting to do. And then it creates your levels.
Yeah.
Because the open in 3 workouts, or even let's call it 4 workouts if there's a 2-parter, I still think that's very hard to level out.
Yeah.
Because you could have had a a high skill move, one high skill movement that took you away from a certain level, but you have everything else, and it's just not as precise. I think you need more data.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it usually skews to, I would say, more just basic cardio fitness ability.
But I think that's the bottom of the pyramid, right? If you think
Yeah,
about,
that's-
CrossFit, like you have the bottom of the pyramid being monostructural, right? And before earning your weight, like you have to be good at monostructural and just general fitness. Then are you able to move your body in space with gymnastics? Then how, the
Right.
weights and weightlifting and throwing and the sport. So yeah, it's interesting.
Well, while we're talking about the Open, let's talk about, they announced the second matchup that will happen somewhere in Arizona. And I'll go ahead and share my screen. So
and Rolfe is off first. Emily Rolfe is going to take event 10.
So, thoughts on the matchup?
I'm excited for Emily. I mean, the fact that Sydney got to do it last year, I almost wish they would have found somebody else. I like her. It's just a very few people have gotten to do it. Like, find somebody who hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, I was excited for Emily to see that. What kind of movements would you like to see them paired against each other? I would like to see, I mean, obviously Emily's very good at like toes to bars, some double unders. Sydney would be very good in terms of similar movements, I think, too.
Yeah.
She's good with the lower skill gymnastics, chest to bar muscle up, stuff like that. It could be a good race.
I could see like was it 18-2 or the one with the toe to bar dub and
the cleans?
Yeah.
I don't think that would be as good for Emily Rolfe against Sydney.
Well,
I think the one that would be good would be the 20-minute 20.2 with the dumbbell thrusters, toes to bars.
Yeah, but I think Emily would get ahead, and then it would get to that last level of weight, and I'd be curious to see. Does Sydney come back and take her? And
Emily's getting stronger. Like
she is.
Some of her lifts as of late, I feel like she has been putting in the work on strength. It's just the field is just so strong. Like I know. It's just she's getting stronger, but so is the field, right? So it always looks like she's very weak, but she's not. Like she's still very strong. Like she's just everyone's just apparently cleaning 250 now. Like it's just crazy.
Craig makes a good point. We don't want to see ring muscle ups.
Yeah, probably not.
That would be over before it got started.
I still think week 1 could very well be the 20.5 workout. I think
it's 20.1. I think it's the 10 rounder with the ground overhead and burpees.
Craig says toe to bar devil press rower. You'll never see devil press in it.
Devil press. We haven't seen that.
You won't see it. I
think a single arm devil's press you could see, but not with the double. I think the 50 and 35 would get heavy for the majority of people, but a single arm you could do. Because it's just like a dumbbell snatch with a burpee, basically.
Yeah.
Ken Walter says 25.3 open announcement, Jamie versus Carolyne.
Carolyne wouldn't go live. I would do it. I would get on. I'd see Taylor's going on live. I would do a workout after the announcement.
I mean, I used to always do that at my gym. They would announce it. We would have a group of people I would do it the Thursday night because back then it used to be released at 8 p.m. I would do it that night by myself, basically, and then I would do a little recap of how I feel like people should do it. Like I'd watch the announcement, watch the athlete do it, and then I would do it and then give a little bit of feedback on it.
If you knew that it didn't have to be the score you posted, would you do it? Like, because you could do it again.
Sure. I don't know that I'm gonna want to do any of them.
I did an announcement against Carolyne Prevost one year, 20.2, the freaking double under one. I was like, she got like a top 5 in the world on that workout too. Like she was so good at those movements, and I'm like, there are so many workouts where me and Carolyne Prevost would battle, and it'd be like burpees and deadlift workouts and light barbells. And then of course, the announcement was like the worst workout for me. I was like, oh, this is gonna be embarrassing.
So let's talk about that, because it's a big honor to be asked to do an open workout announcement, right? You're in front of the world, everybody's watching. You get that opportunity, and then your biggest weakness shows up as as a piece of the workout. What were your feelings in that moment?
Deflated, because they're like thrusters. I was like, all right, I got this. Toaster bar, I was like, okay. Double unders, I was like, it's like crap. It was cool to go up against her. Like I knew I was gonna be in for a tough night, but I just knew it wasn't gonna be my best event, but I did my best, and I think I did better than I would have if I was by myself, just because of the push I got from her, because she was so elite at that workout. But yeah, it was a tough one. But yeah, I mean, a 20-minute workout, like that's one you want to have someone with you that's pushing you, because if you're just doing that one by yourself, like that's tough. Like that's one of the harder ones just mentally, like a 20-minute AMRAP. Those are the worst.
Franco, she asks herself that question every night before bed.
I'm getting better. I have been working with this lady, Molly, so she's been helping me with some drills. I have a different skipping rope this year than I have before. And am I perfect? Absolutely not. But am I better than I was last year? Yes. So I'm hoping I can continue this momentum of my double unders.
And also being a part of it is big for your camp and or affiliate.
Yes.
Take dancing class to work in your. If you have not seen Carolyne, do her taekwondo or do her jumping. She is one of the most athletic people you've ever seen, and so coordinated. That has nothing to do with her.
That's the frustrating part, is I can dance and I am coordinated. I just cannot do double unders. Yeah, for whatever reason, my arms are not leveled, and the connection of my arm is just not there, but it's getting better.
So we've talked about all the good things about the Open and the amazingness of it all, but we're now getting posts from bigger athletes saying that they are not doing the Open this year, and that we knew that Emma Tall, Emma McQuaid, and Elisa Fuliano had announced it in previous weeks. And now we get this week Chandler Smith, Patrick Vellner, and Yella Hosta. So now we're at 3-3 on each side. I keep scrolling Instagram. It's really hard to find in everybody that I follow these announcements, but I'm trying to look as much as I can to bring you the latest news on that. That's a decision they're allowed to make, right? Anybody can or cannot do the Open. It is what it is. How do you think it's going to affect the competitive season? Is it going to because they've reduced the number of people going to the games by 10, will it actually give some up and comers a shot? Or do you think it's going to be a wash because of the reduction in people going to the games.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a wash.
Carolyne?
Say that question again.
So because they've reduced the number of people going to the games by 10,
Yes.
from 40 to 30, now you have open spots coming because perennial games athletes are not competing. Is it going to be a wash in the end that those perennial games athletes will probably be about the same as the number of spots they've reduced by?
It's hard to know. I think there's a lot still contemplating right now and still waiting it out to kind of just see what other people are doing. It's hard to know because a lot of those athletes do hold great influence in the space. And yeah, I mean, the decrease in number, it's already getting harder to qualify, but I don't know what the sign-up's going to be like. It's going to be much lower than the past few years, probably by, I don't know that we'll hit 200,000 at this pace. Like, I think it's going to be pretty significant blow. And like I've said, every other show, like these athletes, like I think that there's two ways that athletes have taken, their decision is some athletes, the changes that CrossFit has proposed post games has not met what they're looking for in terms of the changes, and the way that they're taking action is by not competing, which I fully support and respect their decision. And they want to see more, and they, and really it's too close to even know whether it's enough. We don't know whether it's enough. And some athletes, I think, are choosing not to compete until they see it actually change, because, we've had councils, we've had all these things, and they're not taking part until, or maybe never, I'm not sure, until they see significant change or what they're looking for. And then other athletes are choosing to, take part, let's say, in the open or in the season, and seeing how these actions are going to be, or these decisions and changes are going to be implemented, hoping that things change. I think anyone that, saw what happened last year know that it was, the worst thing that can happen, and definitely preventable. And the response, I think, even for people that are choosing to sign up for the open, it doesn't mean that you're in agreement with the response either that happened, or anything that took place. I think that there's just different ways that athletes will choose to move forward with the season, whether they want to be within the community and see how it plays out, or they want to hold, their decision of not competing until further change is made. And there could be other personal reasons that they don't disclose too, which they have every right to not disclose for their decisions to not compete. I respect their decisions too. Like I said, to me, the open has meant so much to my community, to my affiliate, to myself. I've tried to win the open every single year, if I'm being honest, since I was in 2014. Like games athletes always says that they didn't care about the open. I always did. Like, I always cared. I cared about my community. I have an affiliate. Like, it's meant so much to me. And there's other people that have disagreements with me in terms of their decisions, but
so
yeah, it's tough. I don't know what. I think we all want change. We all want this to never ever happen again. Ever happen again, and it's so sad that we lost, one of our best members of our community in Lazar, and it should have never happened. And it's difficult. Like, it's difficult to move on from that, and no one is really moving on from that. we're moving forward or in different directions, but no one's going to forget what happened with Lazar. I just hope that real change, real significant change is going to happen with the new council in place, with the new safety measures in place. I've competed in a lot of competitions locally, and the games from my experiences, one of the places I felt the safest in terms of where I competed. Like, there was the most amount of staff there. Now, my expectation is always to have someone save me if I were to ever be in a situation like that, and that just didn't happen. And it's so sad to think that happened, that happened, and shocking. It's still shocking to talk about it, and enraging, to be honest. But like I said, I just hope that something can come from this. There's plenty of opportunities to compete in the season. I'm going to be doing the WFP as well, and trying to compete there. And I support all the athletes that are going that route too. Like, the sport has meant so much to me. It's changed my life. It's changed so many things, like not just the sport, the methodology. Like, I don't want to see it go away. I don't want to see it disappear. I don't want to see, the affiliates that mean the most to me, like, lose a bunch of things. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough time in our sport right now, in our community. It's very divided. Yeah,
I just don't think that when you're asking for change, I don't, for one, I think you need to be a little bit clearer. But the fact that some of these athletes are backing out of the games and switching over to something like WFP, like, no shame, no fault there. Like, whatever, do what you want to do. To me, it seems like you're just wanting to go do the least amount of work for the most amount of money. Like, why now are we pushing for movement lists? You basically want to know what you need to do, and you want to go do it. You just want to do 6 events over 2 days and make some money. We no longer really want to test for the fittest on earth. We don't want to do extremely hard, unknowable things. I mean, there is inherent danger when you go sign up for something like the CrossFit Games. That's part of what draws people to it. That's part of what made CrossFit great. Is life isn't easy, and we are choosing to put ourselves in extremely taxing situations in the gym every day, just really hard things, so that we can get through other things. And I don't know why we're constantly trying to cater for people, make things easier, scale things to that's not how life works. That's not what made this great.
I'm okay with the standardized list, and it's still, to me, unknowable in terms of, I mean, if you look at that list, there's
there's tons of options.
There's tons of options. And I'm sure we'll talk about that later. I don't think there's anything bad necessarily with that list and wanting standardized stuff. And I don't think that I don't think that the games needs to be as hard on the body as like a beat down sometimes as it is. I think you could do those same events over maybe one more day or whatever, but I wouldn't say that they're taking an easier route. They're actually competing more often. I think they have their contracts, those athletes, but
3 times.
Really, they could just go one time in person for.
It's not even that much different. Like, you do the open, then you do your semifinals, and then you do the games. So now we're going to do the in-person, the 3 live WFP. If you're a contracted athlete, they're not really competing more.
I think it's pretty similar, maybe. If they're doing both, they're competing more.
Well, sure.
But the volume at a competition with 6 events is less, obviously, than some of the games with 15 events in 3 to 4 days.
Yeah, I get it. I just feel like they're going the route that serves them the best, and I can't fault them for that. But I like telling that Dave needs to be fired, saying that we need all this change without saying, like, just say what it is that you want. And we aren't getting that, other than it's pretty clear they wanted Dave fired. Did you want pool swims? I don't know. Did you want everything inside? I don't know. Nobody's been straight up clear about exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, I think some of it was in the demands, obviously, by the PFAA. I think the Dave thing is definitely something that the athletes, some of them, were looking in terms of action, or at least someone held accountable for, the life lost. And again, there's some reasons that won't be said. And there's athletes that are stepping away that, they've been in it for a long time. I think it's very easy for people that are judging that have never been at the games to judge. And it's like, they've been there, they've experienced certain things, maybe that, even if I've been at the games, like I don't have the same experience as some of those athletes that have been there much longer, and how they felt. I just have my personal experience to draw back on. But yeah, I think it's whatever that they feel is best for them. In terms of what they're looking for, that could vary, but I do think that someone being held accountable, or a few different things, could be one of the reasons. Does it help that they have a contract and they already have another opportunity elsewhere? Let's be honest, yes. I think, if you look at certain athletes that don't have those contracts and they're bubble athletes, like, I think it's I'm not going to say harder, because I don't want to put any judgment, but I think having other opportunities already, like, set in stone in terms of a contract and a season is helpful, maybe for certain decisions by certain athletes, versus if you have nothing or less sponsors. But
right.
So I'm going to jump in, because I know there are things that with you as athletes probably can't cross the line, and I can. And so I'm going to say it. One thing that it's a lot easier for athletes who have been there 9 years to the games to say, hey, I'm not doing it, because they've already had the experience. There's so many athletes fighting for that opportunity. And now these bigger names in the sports are almost becoming an influence. And I hope that they're able to separate from that and make their own decision based on the own facts and needs that they have and their own experiences. Does that make sense? Pat Vellner has podiumed. He's been to the game several times. He's made a lot of money in this sport. He's done a lot of things, but there's a lot of athletes that haven't had that experience yet. And I don't want that taken away if, and this is a big if CrossFit is moving in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Which I hope it is. Like, I hope that, and I don't know how to say this, but someone didn't lose a life for nothing. And, like, no, this doesn't forever change the safety measures, and that is the only life that we'll ever lose. And like I said, it should have never happened. It will never be forgotten. But I sure hope that if that didn't open the eyes of the games team, and I've worked on the demo team I have worked behind scenes as well. And I know, like, I've seen, some of the people behind scenes, and I've done with Rogue and stuff, like, they care about the athletes, and they do care about the competition and putting on, a safe show and stuff. And we saw the worst thing ever happen. And I just hope that it's not ever going to happen again. And real, more thought is going to be put into place in terms of safety procedures. Like, even if you have rope climbs, like mats underneath. And I'm not an expert in safety. Like, that's not my, like, as an athlete, I don't know I can't foresee every single thing that could happen wrong. But I hope that with the people that they've hired and the eyes on the sport and maybe people that are not within our sport and can think of other things that can happen, that the right people are put into place to avoid anything that is preventable. Now, will accidents happen in sports? They can. It's, there's risk inherited in certain things. But in terms of preventable things or the response to different things, I hope that the emergency action plans are well thought of, and that, like I said, someone didn't die for no change to happen. And that this, I don't know how to say it another way, but I hope that comes out right.
I think it's coming out perfectly, but
Okay.
I want to say this. There were 3 demands made by the PFAA. One of them was that they wanted to see the investigation. We don't know if legally CrossFit could even show that to them, right?
Right.
But it wasn't a negotiation. It was an ultimatum. PFA made an ultimatum. These 3 things. The other thing was they wanted to be a part of safety decisions in the future. What gives PFAA the knowledge and the ability to be safety experts in the field? CrossFit went out and brought on a safety council. When we read the backgrounds of those individuals, actually have safety experience behind their names.
Yeah.
So there has been change made. Now we have to trust that they're going to use that council, because in years past, CrossFit has brought on councils and not used them. And that is well known. So that is, to me, that's the crux of the issue. I think CrossFit has done the right things if they use the people they brought on. They had the athletes elect an athlete council.
But you needed, the only thing with that is you needed certain, not standards, like you had to have a level 1, you had to have
credentials.
Certain credentials. So
yeah.
but I think that makes it less independent counsel. Like, unless you're already bought in, maybe you're more likely to already have certain
biases,
affiliation, I guess with the sport,
like...
which I understand. I think I don't like, the PFA doesn't necessarily have any of those requirements. Obviously the PFA was mostly just for the games, individual athletes for now. But yeah, I like the idea of the CAC in terms of it's reaching different age groups and stuff like that. I think there could have been some requirements that are taken away to allow more people to put their voices forward. I actually regret not putting my name in it. I wasn't sure how much time I was going to have and stuff. And in hindsight, I wish I would be more, I wish I could play a more active role in part of the solution to changing things. So perhaps next year I'll give my name. I think I don't know why I second guessed myself putting, because I do have those credentials anyways. But I think a more independent group. And I think the fact that they created that without even listing or even acknowledging the PFA also didn't sit right with many of the athletes, of course, that had already worked very hard to create certain ideas, certain standards within the space. I think that already shows that they weren't really listening to them, which could leave a bad taste. But like I said, I hope that they're acknowledging the input from from the CAC, and I hope that the CAC reaches out to the community for more ideas, surveys, whatnot, to bring up different points of things that can get better. Because like I said, as an athlete, I'm not an expert in safety. I'm not an expert in a bunch of different things, but I do have some ideas for some stuff. So
there's a lot of great comments, but they've been flowing in pretty fast and furious, and trying to keep up them has been tough. So
Dex commented way earlier. Has anyone come out and just said that they'd make more money? That's what I feel like.
Carolyne Lambre did.
Right. So they early on said, and I think that's a real thing. Like if these signups don't increase and 10th is only going to get like 4,000 or 5,000 at the games, it probably makes sense to go the WFP route and get your 10, 20, 30, whatever I hate, in one vein, I hate that it's a guaranteed contract, because I want to see people fight for that prize money. Like I want to see, like, I'd rather see bonus for event wins. I'd rather see.
I mean, you see that in sports all the time, though. Like people have their contracts for the year and then they can lose it after. Like in professional sports, you're given a contract for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 8 year, whatever, and you can shit the bed. You can be injured, but you're guaranteed that contract, and that's what makes it professional versus just earning. Like if you look at certain sports that you're having to earn it every year and you get injured, like it's hard. Like I do like the guaranteed contracts. I do like that because that's what it is in professional sports. Like you want to have that cushion that you're not thinking about money like the whole time. And I mean, I'm not saying that it's a significant amount. I don't know how much money that the contracted athletes are making. I mean, there's some rumors of like the 30,000 or something like that, but I do like that. And at least it's just 1 year and then it's performance based and you lose it. Like you're only like, and it's just really this group it's earned in terms of their previous performance.
I wish we knew, like, still don't fully understand how the challengers work. Do they get paid? Do they get, like, I feel like it's going to be hard for new athletes to break into this, honestly, with the point system, with the double points. And that's what I don't like. Like somehow you need to be enticing these challengers to get there. Why is their way not paid? Why are, like, do they get $4,000 at the end of for getting 20th? I don't know. Like, I don't know how that works. I feel like there needs to be a way to, like, entice these challengers, pay their way, pay their, like, there's a reason people want to go to Rogue and Dubai when it was like covering those costs. Like, to take away that burden on these newbie athletes trying to break into the space is huge.
But the reason that Rogue can do that is they're not there to make money. That is their marketing budget for the year. They're putting on a showcase of their equipment with the two biggest groups that sell their equipment.
And they just want to showcase the athletes and they want to support the athletes. Like they honestly really care about just putting on a great show and showcasing their equipment. Like they're not making money from the Rogue Invitational.
The last thing I want to say is, why do we have to dislike either one of them? Let them both run their race, and hopefully at the end, if you can't sustain both of them, you take the best parts of both entities and you mush it together into a better season. Because it's not untrue that we've been asking CrossFit to change the season format forever. Like, aside of all the safety stuff, we have been asking for a simpler reason to follow this season, to be able to explain it. Maybe the WFP comes up with that format and you steal that over to here and you make a better season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I've lived that with like hockey. I mean, like we had one league and then another league started and then they had some great ideas of how they went, but it was still kind of divided. So like our fans were a little bit divided, but then now last year they finally came into one and they grabbed like all the best stuff and now it's just, taking off. Yeah, I want both to succeed. I want athletes to be able to, have different competitions that they can go to and earn a living, and competing is just fun. Like I love competing. I like doing it, right? Like I want those opportunities to be there for athletes. Like I'm at the tail end of my career. Like I'm entering the Masters this year. And like I was given many great opportunities in the sport, and I don't want that to, be limited for the next generation too, of athletes. Like it's life-changing. Like it's the way that, I go about my day now. Like I don't do this full time, but like it changed my life. And it's been a huge part of mine. So I don't want to see it die.
This is my exact
I don't want to see it die. Like it means too much. It means too much to my affiliate, the community. Like it just, like I'm a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of the athletes. Like I'm a fan of the methodology. Like it's the best methodology out there. I don't know what the right way is to move things forward. To me, I'm doing it with my community. Like that's the only way I know. Like it's with them. But I also respect everyone that's doing it for their own reasons and not doing it for their reasons. It's just it's hurting to be divided. That's for sure.
Phil's comment is exactly, bring that up, Scott, because that's exactly where I'm at.
There's 3 qualifiers and they're not all guaranteed to make all events. It's almost impossible for a challenger.
That's exactly what I think is going to happen. I think there's going to be 1 or 2. Like Colton's probably going to take somebody down, and maybe one other person, and that's about it. And it's going to continue to stay like that. I don't like that. I don't
like the fact that the card gets you different levels of a contract. A card should be a card. Everybody should have the same amount regardless. And you have to fight for that. And then if you win more events during that year, then you can make more money. But the card should be of the same value across the board. And I'm hearing that is not the case.
That's ridiculous.
I want to speak to this. Games athletes with thousands and thousands of followers publicly announcing they are not doing the Open is actively hurting everything about CrossFit, period. I do believe it's having an effect, but I believe that the Open is bigger than the main athletes. When I first did the Open, I didn't know about the big athletes. Like my first Open, I was clueless to what the sport was. And it's because my gym got me to buy in on what the Open was and what this community event could be. And so I think it falls on gym affiliate owners to really promote the Open on what it is as a community event. And we talked about that at length at the beginning of this podcast. All the great things that affiliate owners are doing out there to make it a family event, a community event for everybody to gather around.
Celebration.
That's why we do the Open. I don't do the Open because Pat Vellner did the Open. I do the Open because I get to hang out with my crew.
Mm-hmm. And you do hard shit during those 3 weeks. Like the fact, like just signing up for something just makes you go harder, just makes you push a little bit more, keeps you accountable year to year.
And Megan, your interview with Dave the other day was awesome, by the way.
I think it's having an effect on more people than we would really want to admit.
Yes, it's definitely going to have an impact, but I hope it's going to have a positive impact in terms of the change that needs to happen to never have this happen again. That I hope it happens. Now, I just hope that we can also continue to have our sport and have the opportunities keep growing. Like
Ken's got it.
I hope the impact is there in terms of the changes.
If millions of followers then see the best of the best saying boycott, it affects signups. The numbers right now show they are having a negative effect.
Right.
I agree. But I want to point out, like Hattie Canyo made a post today, why I'm in on the Open.
That's good.
You heard Carolyne talk about why she's in on the Open tonight. You know that Jamie is passionate about doing the Open. Like, we need all the other athletes that are staying in making their posts as to why they're doing it.
But they sign up at the last minute. Like that, like that's the thing. Like, you got to see more. Like, if I never understood that personally, but again, I people have their reasons. And to me, if there's a time to sign up, if there's a year that you want to show a message or whatever, it would be this year. Like, we're like, by the end of the week 1, we're gonna see who's in and who's not. Like, if you want to be in and you want to affect it in a certain way, like, you have to put your name out there, like, so that people can, like, be a leader one way or the other. Like, it's whether you're being a leader and stepping away and you have your reasons and that's the way that you feel like is the best way for yourself. Okay. Be a leader the other way in terms of what you want to continue to push forward. If you want to be in a solution, if you want to be part of the solution actively, taking part, then I don't know.
Well, to go back to your original question, Scott, I don't think there's going to be 10 top tier athletes that don't sign up. So I still think it's going to be a wash. I don't think there's going to be
like 20 in terms of 10 each side.
Yes.
So you're talking about 20 athletes.
20 athletes. I don't think there's going to be 10 for sure. We're in the part of the problem is I feel like some of these I'm outs were kind of already out anyway. They were not shoo-ins to be games athletes. I think you're going to wind up with 2 or 3 that were probably at a spot that back out. And it's not going to be like, it's not inviting new people to get in because we dropped 10 spots.
And I think most of the people that could be out probably have a contract or another opportunity elsewhere, or they're within their retirement reach that they're already phasing out that way.
So someone asked if Shay, one of our loyal listeners and always comments on our stuff, so happy that she's with us, says, is Tia in or out? And Dex's response is what I want to talk about. When the money's right, she's in. I hear. That's a big point of this, right? Yeah. If you're an athlete who wants to compete at the games and you want the prized purse to be as much as you can get it to be, you saying, hey, I'm in, support me, helps your bottom line at the end of the day.
Right.
So, yeah, we definitely went off agenda tonight for sure. Yeah. But it was an important conversation. And I think we got a lot out of this. That's a great question, Shay. Then why isn't she promoting the Open? I mean, that's her choice. And maybe she's already made a decision and we're just speculating. Who knows? But I think if you are definitely in and you're not promoting the Open, you're only hurting your bottom line at the end of the day. But
I don't think it's in everyone's personalities to necessarily promote the Open or put themselves out there to be judged one way or another. So I think that's also why a lot are more quiet and kind of staying under the radar until a little bit closer.
But just with that, like Barbell Spin named you as an athlete that's in, like they did their own research, went through the signups. These are the people that have signed up and kind of did the legwork for us to see what elite level athletes have signed up for the Open. and they put a post out there. And just to clean this up, Ruan, I'm going to mess it up. I wrote it down and now I can't. Potgieter,
Something like that. Close.
is out due to injury for this season. So that's another athlete that won't be competing, but he's doing it because he can't do it because of injury. Man, you guys are moving so fast. I'm even clicking the wrong ones. Proven is promoting the Open. That is Tia's brand. That's a good point.
That's a good start.
It is.
They have been probably the
Yeah.
camp.
Mayhem.
Them and Mayhem have been the two camps.
Mhm.
I feel like
That's good.
And then right now, Max Alhaj is with Trading
Mhm.
Think Tank has been also kind of doubling down on his reasonings to stay in. So if I were to guess, maybe some of the athletes there may stay in.
James Newberry, her High Rocks partner, also just posted a reel that he is in. So maybe things are pointing towards Tia being in. But yeah, I hope that, and it's been said in the comments, and I can't find it specifically, but there's been a lot of fluctuation over the period of CrossFit, just with like when we did the sanctional season, there was a fluctuation in open signups. When we did, every kind of new format, there was the fall open was awful for signups. If you remember that, I think that was the second sanctional season, right?
The 2020 season.
It was 20, yeah.
Yeah, that was horrific when they tried the fall open. So there's a lot of things that affect open signups. Hopefully this just gives new people new opportunities. It's people that we have been rooting for forever to get an opportunity to compete at the highest levels. But man, we have killed the open tonight.
Yes, Dex, they can do the both for now. We'll see in the future years if that ever changes.
So I'm going to save the second half of the rundown for next week.
Thank you.
Because I know Jamie has not eaten yet.
I have not eaten.
We
I'm
just got
dying.
home from the gym as we went live. But I want to thank you guys for the open dialogue. I want nothing more than this podcast to be just a safe space for everybody to talk about their feelings, whatever they are. It's okay to think differently than one another as long as we can sit down and talk about it. That's what I'm here for.
And and I like a respectful chat too, because sometimes the chats in different different outlets can get out of hand. So I want a respectful podcast chat as well. So thank you for that. And while you're in the chat, you can like and subscribe.
And if you listen to us on Spotify or Amazon Music or iTunes, leave a 5-star review and a nice comment. That would be awesome as well.
Let us rage.
Ken Walters, my mouse just died. Amy, you can eat on air. JY and Taylor do.
Yeah, that'd be a mess.
I have ate on air many
You
times
have.
when I'm at Lex's house. I try to eat off screen a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I try to be on my best behavior on this channel. It requires no small amount of self-control. Believe me. Same, Kenneth.
That's awesome.
yeah, because we don't always agree, like all three of us, on our point of views, even for a lot of things. But I think that we can respect each other at the end of the day and have good discussions on how you see things or how I see things, and kind of allow other people in the chat to maybe understand different points of views, which sometimes are not seen in other podcasts.
And Carolyne and Jamie have changed my name. Have changed my mind in the past before. And maybe I've had a shot at doing that once or twice with them. But yeah, you should hear some of the right after we're off the air discussions when we don't agree about things. So, but you guys are the best. We love each and every one of you. We love your passion. We love that you guys are here every week and can't wait to jump back in with you next week on Sunday night CrossFit Talk. Bye, guys.